So we light our Advent candles. First, we light the candle of faith. As we trust and have faith in the goodness, the innate goodness of everyone, we can have hope for a better future, for a better tomorrow. And then we light this week's candle, which is peace, that we can always access this peace because it starts within. When we remember who we are, as Ryan sang about, and Sydney. So let's just breathe into that peace. We can access it any time. Last night, it was about 6:30, and my neighbor texted me and said, "We've got our telescope set up. Would you like to come over and see Jupiter?" Because Jupiter, I don't know how many of you know that Jupiter was really bright last night. And I was in my pajamas, like I usually am when it's dark at 4 o'clock. Yeah, whatever. I like soft pants. And so I just put on my boots and a coat, and we walked over to our neighbors, and we went in their backyard, and I didn't know she was inviting other people over, but I might have put some other clothes on. But you know how when they turned off all the lights outside, because they have all these stringed lights, and there's this peace. It was quiet. Even though there were several of us, we were all in this state of awe of seeing Jupiter through the telescope, of seeing this planet that has over 100 moons, I didn't know, is 383 million miles away, and we're looking at this planet, and we can see some of the moons, and it was just really peaceful. You know, when you're in a place of awe about something, there's a calmness to that. It was just beautiful. And then we turned the telescope so we could look at the moon, because the moon was so bright and beautiful, and we could see craters, and it was really fun. And the mood kind of got a lot lighter. And then my husband said, he's looking through the telescope, and he said, "I can see a flag and Neil Armstrong's footprints," which just made it all fun, because it was just then fun. But so I'm holding this book so I don't forget to say, like I did last week, we have these in the bookstore, which is an Advent book that Unity puts out every year. And this year it's called Be Not Afraid. If you want to follow along and get one of these books, be not afraid. We can so be afraid. I think be not afraid, or don't be afraid, or fear not is in the Bible like 370 times. Because the writers knew that human nature is to be afraid, to be fearful of what we don't know, of something that's different. This woman went into the post office to get her Christmas stamps. And the clerk said to her, "Well, what denomination do you want?" And she said, "Oh my God, has it come to that? I guess I'll take 20 Catholic and 20 Presbyterian." Sometimes it feels like it's come to that. But you know, I didn't know this. There are over 45,000 denominations of Christianity. 45,000. I thought there were maybe, 50, maybe. 45,000 worldwide. And mostly there's different denominations because of different beliefs, different interpretations of Scripture. There were many power plays throughout history, throughout the years, because people look at the differences instead of the similarities. We want to look at the similarities. We want to find that place in our heart that sees how alike we are instead of how different we are. Pema Chodron says this about this: if we want there to be peace in the world, we have to be brave enough to soften what is rigid in our hearts, to find the soft spot and stay with it. We have to have that kind of courage and take that kind of responsibility. That's the true practice of peace. It is a responsibility. The peace starts within us. If we want to see peace, we have to be peaceful. We have to remove those barriers that are in our own consciousness. Those barriers of unforgiveness, those barriers of resentment, those barriers of bias, those barriers of things that keep us apart, that look at the differences instead of the similarities. There's so many things that keep us apart from each other. We need to look at what is the same, what is similar, and that will bring us peace. I found this video, and I've been dying to share this, so go ahead.
Winds rise and fall. All gently fades, clear out the shades.
No, keep playing it, because that's important. Oh, at the end. I don't know if we can get it back to there we go.
Stand holding the hand, worlds far apart, but in each heart, bridging the storm. Friendship is born.
Okay, it's not, that wasn't the important part, the T-Mobile, but thank you T-Mobile for that commercial, because wasn't that fantastic? So I had to watch that about 6 or 7 times before I got that they were in globes, like 2 separate globes, that and then they had broken it. But we do that in our consciousness. We live in a bubble, and anybody outside the bubble is an outsider. Is not part of us. And we need to break those barriers, as these children figured out, and see the similarities. They saw the similarities. They just wanted to have fun together. It was so beautiful. But these bubbles that we form, and it's okay, I get it. We spend our lives, many years of our lives, building these identities. A wise person told me this weekend, and we cage ourselves in instead of expanding. And it's good to have identities. It's good for us to know who we are. But when we know who we are as spiritual beings, as Christ, that's expansive. That's expansive. Because God or Spirit or whatever you want to call it would not have it any other way. Would not say this person is included and these people are not. Spirit would never do that. And so that spiritual nature of ourselves, we know this on some level, but we forget. We know this. And we are not going to be at peace until we can be in that place of knowing that. Wake up to that knowing. Be aware of that part of ourselves. Peace comes when we break those barriers, because we have all these barriers going on in our consciousness all the time. In the 4th chapter of Mark, story many of you have heard, Jesus and his disciples get into a boat on the Sea of Galilee, and Jesus goes to sleep. And the storms pick up, and the boat's rocking, and the apostles are getting scared, and they wake him up, Master, Master, wake up. Don't you care that we might die? And he gets up and says, peace, be still. And the water's calm, and the storm stops. And he said, what with your faith? Where is your faith? And they're like, who is this man that can calm the seas? But if we look at it metaphysically, the apostles, the people in the Bible, represent our thoughts. And how many times our thoughts can get stormy, can get turbulent, can be rocking us from side to side where we are afraid for our lives. But there's a part of us, this Christ part of us, that knows without question, we can be in this place of calm. No matter what's going on around us, no matter what storms we're facing, and we all face storms, we can be calm. We can find that peace, because peace is an innate quality in all of us. It's innate in spirit, and we are of spirit. And so we can be in the world and not of the world. Be that calm. It's like a theme. Last week it was be still and know. Be still and know that I am God. Be still. And this is peace. Be still. So it's be still is the instruction. Be still. We're always running to and fro, and so much chatter going on in our heads. But be still. That's why it's so important to have a meditation practice. Even if it's just a moment a day, to be still. To allow yourself to calm. See the stillness in here right now. So why don't we do that? Just a moment. Just take a breath and close your eyes. And and take another breath and that's the peace. That's it right there, that calm. Okay, you can open your eyes now. So we can not like we're shushing somebody, in a bad way, but we're calming, like we would a child that is distressed. Just it's okay. It's okay. That's peace. And we can do this for ourselves anytime. Anytime. And it feels good. It feels good. No matter what's going on. And there's a lot going on. Look for the similarities. Break down those barriers that you have in your consciousness, that you have in your mind, those thoughts that go around. And if you have even one person with whom you are not at peace, you've got some work to do. So I would bet that's all of us. Most of the time. There's always someone. I grew up with 6 kids in the family. Somebody was always mad at somebody. Look for the similarities. My family, most of my family has different political views than I do. And we manage to have fun together, to have conversations, to laugh together, to talk to each other. We don't have to agree on everything. And we don't. Look for that peace. What's similar? Break down those barriers to make connection as the girls did in the video. Because there's always something that we can see. And if there's somebody that you're really struggling with, that person too is spirit. Imagine them as spirit, as God, as the face of God, because each of us are that. There's a monastery in Greece on the island of Crete, and it donated some land where a Greek philosopher and teacher and lecturer, his name's Alexander Papaderos. He founded an institute for healing and peace, for human understanding and peace. And Alexander was about 6 years old during World War II. And he lived on the island of Crete. He was from there, he was Greek. And one day he found a mirror. He found like fragments of a mirror. It was from a German motorcycle, and it was all broken, and he found this mirror, and he tried to piece it back together, but he couldn't. So he took the biggest piece that he could find, and then he started smoothing the edges on a stone so he got it to be round, and he held on to that mirror for his whole life. Now, that land where there's an institute for human understanding and peace was the site of the Nazis coming in and the Greeks trying to not let them take over their island, and they came at them with kitchen knives and pitchforks. And the Nazis, in retaliation, lined them all up and shot about 500 of them. Whole villages from the island were killed. And so if anyone had reason to hate, says Alexander, the Greeks and the Germans did. But Alexander believed, after something that he did with this mirror as a boy, shining light and shining, he used it as a game, would shine light into dark places. And he kind of made a game out of it. How many dark places can I shine a light into? And he used that going forward in his life as he grew up until he realized that was what he wanted to do, was shine a light in a dark place. And so he was, this institute was the result, the fruit of his work. And so he was giving a talk there years later, and somebody asked him at the end, there was a 2-week seminar on Greek culture. And somebody asked him at the very end, he said, any questions? And somebody said, yeah, what's the meaning of life? And people laughed and they start leaving. He goes, no, I'm going to answer that. And he pulls out his mirror that he carried his whole life. And he tells this story of how he found it, of how we can't put the broken pieces together, but we can shine a light on this hate and heal it. That if anybody can, that the Greeks and the Germans had something to teach each other, forgiveness, to break that barrier of unforgiveness, break that barrier of hatred, and come together in peace. And so at the end, he talks about how whatever needs light, he needs to reflect. He needs to reflect his light. He's not the source of the light, or the light itself says him, but he can reflect it and shine a light on those places that need healing. And then he said this, I am a fragment of a mirror whose whole design and shape I do not know. That's all of us. We don't know our whole shape, our whole design. We don't know it. We're fragments. Nevertheless, with what I have, I can reflect light into the dark places of this world, into the black places in the hearts of men, and change some things in some people. Perhaps others may see and do likewise. This is what I'm about. This is the meaning of my life. I love that he was able to share that he was able to break those barriers. That's the only way we can get to peace, to a place of peace. Stop living in these bubbles and expand. Break the walls, break the barriers, whatever you have to do. That we are all connected. So what barriers are in you? What walls need to come down so that you can be at peace? Mother Teresa says this, if we have no peace, it's because we have forgotten that we belong to each other. I love that. We do belong to each other. To everyone, to all of us, even those people that we have a barrier against. We belong to each other. And so this holiday, this Advent time, we have this invitation to always look for whatever barriers are keeping us from peace. Have the faith that in the breaking of those barriers, we can expand our awareness, expand our consciousness, and have hope for a brighter tomorrow. Have hope that these clouds that are above us are just clouds. They're just moving. The sun is still there. And so that's our invitation during this Advent time to prepare ourselves, to be ready for this new awareness of who we are as divine beings to be birthed in us. Namaste. Peace be with you.